tonight and once again into the weekend. I'll have the latest breakdown ahead at 5:30.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We begin tonight with some breaking news from the trial of Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. The British socialite has been convicted of helping lure teenage girls to be sexually abused by the late Jeffrey Epstein. The verdict capped a month-long trial featuring accounts of the sexual exploitation of girls as young as 14. Jurors deliberated for 5 full days before finding Maxwell guilty of every count except one. She faces years in prison. It's an end long sought by women who spent years fighting to hold Maxwell accountable for abusing them. Her lawyers claim she was being used as a scapegoat for crimes committed by Epstein. There will be much more about this guilty verdict tonight at 6:30 on the CBS Evening News. Today in Taylor County, FEMA is on the ground. An EF3 tornado hit there a few weeks ago. Families are still rebuilding their homes. FEMA went to help get the ball rolling on applying for assistance. Anna Berniston talked to FEMA officials about the help they are providing and how to avoid scammers.
In Taylor County alone, roughly 70 properties were impacted and dozens of families were displaced after the EF3 tornado tore through over 2 weeks ago. To help make sure everyone is getting the help they need, FEMA sent out a team to go door to door to help people sign up for federal assistance or answer questions about the application process. FEMA officials say this is also important because some people may not realize that a first denial letter isn't always the end of potential help.
It could be some disconnect in what the intake took and what the insurance policies subsequently provide.
Now, I also spoke on the phone with emergency manager Ronnie Dooley, and he was telling me within the next week or two, they're hoping to open a temporary assistance center for FEMA so that residents can get more direct help they need.
In the centers, you have an opportunity to work face-to-face with someone who's specialized in that area. And if you haven't thought of something, they can help guide you.
And unfortunately, with every disaster comes scammers. York suggests to never pay contractors in full up front and to get all their information so you can track them down later. He says there are also scammers that say they're with FEMA.
They might, for example, go out into the area, knock on doors, ask folks if they've applied, and tell them that for a fee they can expedite their applications through the system. FEMA does not do that. There are no such contractors.
In Taylor County, meteorologist Anna Berniston, WKYT.
At this time, the deadline to apply for FEMA assistance is February 11th, but York suggests anyone apply as soon as possible to work through any problems that could arise. A veteran who lost everything when a tornado touched down in Bowling Green earlier this month now has a car again. It's a gift from the veterans of foreign wars. The car was presented to Chief Billy Burgett, warrant officer for the CW3 Kentucky National Guard, outside a VFW post in Bowling Green Tuesday. It was donated by another VFW post in the state. Burgett says his heart sank when he saw all the destruction the day after the tornado. He said learning someone was willing to give him a car to help him get back on his feet touched him emotionally.
Watching a few showers move through the region this evening, and we're not done with them by any means. Not as we head into tonight, and not as we head into the new year, 2022. Outside our studio doors here at WYMT, you see the overcast out front. Maybe a little bit of some wet pavement there in our front parking lot here. As we look out toward downtown Whitesburg, pavement's certainly wet there. They're sitting at 54, and you could thank the showers for holding those temperatures down. Where it's raining, we're a little bit cooler into the low to mid 50s, whereas in places where we're not seeing the rain, we're still in the mid to upper 50s. Satellite and radar showing the showers we've been watching southwest to northeast throughout the day. And we're not done yet. Look on out to the west. I'm going to pan down to the south and west, and you can see what's going on. Heavy rain, strong, and even severe thunderstorms at times working through the deep south. I think the severe weather stays to our south. However, we're going to definitely keep an eye on the radar. and that WYNT weather app as we finish things out tonight. Only into the 50s. Temperatures stay just about where we should be for this time of year. Actually, much above where we should be, but right about steady with those showers continuing as we head into the overnight. We got plenty more where those came from, and I'll have the details on that coming up in just a few short minutes. Steve?
Evan, thank you. Officials at the White House say the contract for at-home tests for COVID-19 should be ready by next week. White House COVID-19 Response Director Jeff Zients said in addition to being close to a deal, the Departments of Health and Human Services and Defense are working to expedite test distribution. There will be a free system, including a new website, to get those tests out to Americans. Well, federal health officials expect COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths to all increase in the coming weeks as infections in the U.S. hit a record high. Despite the surge, the CDC is explaining its new recommendations for a shorter isolation period and the unnecessary requirement of a negative test at the end. CBS's Deborah Alfarone has more on all this from the White House.
Just a day after U.S. COVID cases hit the highest one-day total of more than 400,000, the CDC is defending its decision to slash the recommended isolation period for those who test positive from 10 days to 5.
We are standing on the shoulders of 2 years of science. We know that after 5 days, people are much less likely to transmit the virus, and that masking further reduces that risk.
CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky is also answering critics who've called for a negative COVID test requirement at the end of isolation.
We know a PCR test would not be viable because that PCR can stay positive for up to 12 weeks.
The FDA warns at-home rapid antigen tests may be less effective at detecting the more transmissible Omicron variant, though it still says people can use them. Federal testing sites are popping up in several states to meet increased demand. The Biden administration is sending medical personnel and equipment to hard-hit areas, and they're also urging all Americans to get the vaccine or a booster shot if eligible. Plans are underway for a smaller crowd at New York's New Year's Eve ball drop, while some cities such as Atlanta and San Francisco are canceling public New Year's Eve events. Here in Washington, the Smithsonian announced it will close several museums until January 3rd due to the increase in infections among staff. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, the White House.
And we are just learning here in Kentucky, both case numbers and the positivity rate both shot up even further today. We'll take a closer look at those numbers coming up tonight at 6 as Governor Beshear says we are definitely now in a surge here in Kentucky. Meanwhile, Dr. Anthony Fauci says plans for small family gatherings this New Year's Eve with those who are vaccinated should be fine. However, he warns that people should avoid large celebrations with lots of kissing and hugging this year. A mother is talking about a dangerous experience involving Amazon Alexa and her child. According to a tweet by Kristen Livdahl, her 10-year-old asked Alexa for a challenge. Alexa reportedly told the child to plug in a phone charger about halfway into a wall outlet and then touch a penny to the exposed prongs. That is the so-called penny challenge that went viral on TikTok last year. Amazon says it has since fixed the issue with Alexa. Apple has temporarily closed its New York City stores due to the increase in COVID-19 cases. The company says it has closed 16 stores across the city to in-person shopping. Apple's Genius Bar tech support will also be unavailable. Customers can still place orders online and pick them up at stores. Apple has also temporarily closed stores in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Ohio, Texas, and Georgia. If you've returned or planning to return a Christmas gift this year, you're certainly not alone. Returns processor Optoro says 2 out of 3 shoppers are likely to return at least one present. In total, more than $120 billion worth of goods are expected to be returned now through the end of January. But all these returns are costing retailers. Optoro estimates stores will spend 59% more this year than last year on return gifts. The increase in cost is likely due to supply chain issues, higher transportation costs, and discount losses. New York's New Year's Eve celebration may have been scaled down because of the coronavirus, but the Times Square Ball is just as grand as ever. Crews installed the 2022 numerals on Sunday. They remain dark until the stroke of midnight on December 31st. Once the ball drops, the numbers will light up the New York skyline. Each numeral stands at 7 feet high, and together they weigh 1,130 pounds. They also use 599 energy-saving light bulbs. Reed Elliott is an 11-year-old Corbin native, has had cancer twice, and is known as a presidential expert, old soul, and a Loretta Lynn fan. WYMT's Jade Saylor caught up with the young boy about his recent trip to Los Angeles to be on The Ellen Show.
Reed Elliott landed a spot on The Ellen Show for his unique story and many passions.
We talked about presidents, how I had cancer, how I'm an old soul, and my love for Loretta Lynn.
To his surprise, Loretta Lynn shared his interview from the show to her Facebook page.
I saw Loretta Lynn's post, and then it said, "Here's our little friend Reed on the Ellen DeGeneres Show." I was like, "Mom, Dad!" And then I showed them, and we was at a restaurant yesterday, and I showed them, and it was really cool. And I was like over the moon.
Reed is considered a presidential expert, and his American flag suit has become a staple in his wardrobe.
In 2019, I was wanting a presidential birthday party, so we was looking for presidential birthday stuff. Then the suit came up, and I said, "I want that suit."
Macy Hensley is another kid presidential expert that has been on The Ellen Show in the past. She and Reed have talked on the phone, but never met. Guest host JoJo Siwa said she thought they might like to.
"Macy, come on out." Oh my gosh. And it was like, is this really happening? Am I about to meet Macy Hensley? And then now we're good friends and we're running together in 2048.
About 75 friends and family members joined Reed at the movie theater in Corbin to watch him star on The Ellen Show this week.
Every time I showed up on the screen, everyone was like, "Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo, go Reed!"
Reed said it was truly the experience of a lifetime. In Corbin, Jade Saylor, WYMT Mountain News.
Quite a kid there. Guest host JoJo Siwa recently launched her Childhood Cancer Foundation. She was able to reward Reed and his family with $10,000 on the show, which Reed said was probably his favorite part of the day. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, as electric vehicles gain popularity, the Biden administration wants to accelerate plans for a nationwide charging network. We'll explain how.
Don't normally think about mild weather this time of year, but it could lead to thunderstorms to start 2022. We'll have the very latest on the way.
WYMT News app offers alerts on breaking stories as they happen, customized to the categories you